to receive their funds. He has a team of attorneys as well as individuals who can assist with all matters having to do with financial as well as investment and CPAs. Now, some of the very services and education and information that will be offered in New York, his team of specialists also offer that. So that will be on an ongoing basis for those of you who have registered with him and he has set your entity up for you. Now, we thank you, James, for coming on again to bring this information to our newest members, and to those who have heard you before, just a refresher from them as to the benefits of asset protection. Thank you again for coming on, and you have the floor at this time, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Wayne, for that tremendous introduction. We certainly appreciate that, and I want to thank you and Joan and anyone else involved in having us on this wonderful call again. I think this is maybe the fourth or fifth time, I'm not sure, but we've been a grateful invited guest on numerous occasions in the past, and we're glad to be back as we're getting closer to the end of the road here. So, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say I've known Wayne for a long time, and we have been working with this program for approximately 3 years. I don't know a finer person to work with, okay? I mean, he's astute, he's intelligent, he does what he says, he's a gentleman, and it's just a joy working with him and his sister, Joan, too. She's a great person as well, and it's just a pleasurable thing. I just wanted to say that in getting started here. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We are what you would call business consultants, basically. And we've been in the business a little over 21 years now. Time just flies so quickly. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for such a long time. I stumbled into this business by accident many years ago because I was not structured properly and I was about to lose all of my assets. It was a very hard lesson for me, and I won't go into detail, but I spent 2 years in litigation, and I learned a lot about our court system and how it works and how unfair it can be. And although I was innocent of any wrongdoing, I did prevail in the legal battle. But in the process, I went through 2 years of the worst nightmare you can imagine, and a great deal of money. But I won. So people were congratulating me afterwards and saying, wow, you went up against the big guys and you won and you beat them and you taught them a lesson. I said, I don't really feel like a winner because I've spent so much time and energy and it pulled me away from my business, and I lost business, and the legal fees were unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the things we hope to accomplish, and one of the reasons we got into this business, is to show people how to protect their assets and keep them out of the court system. It's just not a place you want to go, okay? Asset protection is one of the most important things in your life if you have any assets worth keeping, okay? Now, if you have none, it's probably not much of a problem, okay? But it's certainly a good idea to get yourself structured properly and get the proper protection in place before something goes wrong. Before something goes wrong, let me emphasize the word before, because once you're in the middle of litigation, you can't go changing things around and protect yourself. That's called a fraudulent transfer, okay? It's got to be done before the problem arises, before the legal problem hits you, okay? And by the way, these attorneys out there are very good at what they do, and they can make a mountain out of a molehill and make you look like the worst person in the world, even though you may not have done anything wrong, or maybe just made an honest mistake, or maybe you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you are a property owner, I would like to very heavily emphasize the liabilities associated with property ownership. If anything goes wrong, if anyone ever becomes injured on your property, beware, because you will most likely be sued. And I forgot to mention, Wayne, can you hear me okay? Is this the right volume?
We can hear you loud and clear, Jane.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
No problem.
Property ownership has a tremendous liability associated with it. So it's best not to have property in your personal name. What you want to do is have property in an LLC, registered in a very good state, preferably a tax-free state like Nevada or Wyoming, that you own and you control, but no one needs to know that you actually own the LLC. Okay, you can work with it, you can work for it, you can be a member, and so forth. You don't have to publicize the fact that you may be the owner. We suggest you keep that information private, okay? But if your property is in the name of an LLC, then your name is not showing on the rolls down at the county recorder's office as a property owner. This gives you a great deal of privacy because that information is all public down at the county recorder's office, okay? The same thing goes for ownership of planes, boats, trains, automobiles, vacation homes, commercial buildings, rentals. Oh, my goodness, what liability we have with rental property. Let me give you just a brief horror story. We have many. About a gentleman who was doing very, very well. He worked very hard. He got some money saved up. He bought a couple of rentals. He used the money wisely. He got a couple of more rentals, and he was getting mortgages on these properties with a nice down payment and collecting the rent, which covered the mortgage almost all the time, and sometimes left him a little left over, and he was expanding and growing. And anyway, he ended up with approximately 40 rentals before something went terribly wrong. He had everything in his name, and him and or his wife's name, okay? Unknowingly, he rented a property to a person who was not such a nice person, and they put a methamphetamine lab in the garage. Now, the owner knew absolutely nothing about it. How could he? The garage door is closed. The tenant's in the property. He's got possession. He's paying his rent on time like clockwork. There's no reason to go in and look at the garage, okay? So he had no idea, the property owner. Well, something went terribly wrong one day. The methamphetamine lab exploded, erupted into a tremendous fireball, and burned down 8 homes around him. The lawsuit was, as you can imagine, atrocious. And basically, to make the story a little bit shorter, the owner of the property lost everything he had because he was not structured properly. And even though he had nothing to do with it, he was responsible to a certain extent. Now, the guy that was living in the property took off, disappeared. I don't know if he had any assets or not, but the owner was left holding the bag because his name was on that property as the owner. So it's one of the worst stories I've ever heard, and that's just an example of something that could happen. If you own a nice home, or even if it's not a nice home, it's an average home, and the yard man is cutting the grass and he happens to cut off 3 of his toes, my goodness, you're going to have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, most likely. And if you're not structured properly, this could be a major problem. So we very heavily recommend that people, very strongly recommend that people get themselves structured properly in the beginning before something goes wrong, and learn how to protect their assets, and that's one of our specialties. We've got a number of fields that we deal in specialties that we have. Tax reduction, let's talk about that just a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. I think most of you, if not all of you on this call, are about to receive a huge windfall. By the way, we are members of EMS. We believe in it. We've always believed in it. We've got money invested in it just like you do, and we intend to be in New York just like you do to get paid along with everyone else. We do look forward to meeting a lot of our clients in New York, but our primary reason for going is to collect, to get paid, okay? And believe me, we are all structured properly and ready, okay? We hope all of you get yourself structured properly, but let me tell you what might happen if you don't. And, of course, you're free to do whatever you choose, ladies and gentlemen. If you feel you don't need a company or an LLC or anything to give you any protection or any tax benefits, I can tell you what's going to happen. If you receive this huge windfall, or even a medium windfall or a small windfall, if you receive several $100,000 or more, and I believe it's safe to say that most of you are going to collect a lot more than that, you're going to lose approximately 50% of that money to taxes, okay? The top personal tax rate, 39%. Then you've got state taxes on top of that and a few incidentals. It usually brings it up to around 50%. If you're in a heavy tax state like New York or Hawaii, it could be 51, 52%. And if you're happy with giving half of your money to the government, God bless you, okay? That is your decision, okay? We find most people would like to avoid that legally, of course. We don't ever cross that line. It's got to be done legally. And save some of that money on the taxes. And to give you an example of what could happen, if you join our program and you structure it properly and you have the funds go into your Nevada or Wyoming company bank account instead of into your bank account, the new tax bill reduced the company tax rate from 35% down to 21%. 21% maximum, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the new company tax rate is. That was effective on January 1 of this year. So, if you look at the difference, the 51 or that's 50% versus 21%, it's approximately 30% that you stand to possibly save if you're in our program and you structure it properly and things are done according to done in the proper manner. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that equates to approximately $300,000 on $1 million. So for every million, you could have as much as a $300,000 tax savings. Now, that money could be put to some very good uses, I'm sure. And I'm not here to knock the government, but I don't believe they use the tax money as wisely as they could. We hope that's going to be changing in the future. But in the meantime, it's just not a good idea to pay more taxes than you have to. Okay? And we're here to help you with that. And, of course, like I said, everything is done completely legally. Okay? You can get tax reduction. You can get asset protection. We love privacy. We want to give you as much privacy as possible because it stands to reason. If you're not in the spotlight, you're much less of a potential target for a lawsuit. And there are attorneys out there looking and watching and researching every day, trying to find people that they can get into court for one reason or another and collect those huge payments that they receive. You know, attorneys on a contingency fee basis case, they normally get approximately 1/3 plus their expenses, which usually ends up being as high as 40, 45, 50% of the settlement. So they're sometimes getting as much, or maybe even more, than the plaintiffs who started the lawsuit in the first place. So these folks are very well educated, they're very intelligent, and they're very good at what they do, attorneys. So if you're not structured properly, you are sort of out in the open, basically, because of the public information that exists in a number of different places. But the county recorder's office is one of them. And you don't even have to go down there anymore to get the information. It's all available online. My goodness, how easy. It's making their jobs, okay? So, again, it behooves you to get yourself structured properly for asset protection, privacy, tax reduction, etc. We can also, and we have a number of services and other programs. I'm not going to talk about all of the programs that we're engaged in on this call this evening. We don't have that much time. But corporate credit is another thing. It is possible under the right conditions to build corporate credit. We suggest you stay away from borrowing money, especially if you have a huge windfall. Just buy things and pay for them and be done with it, and don't be owing money to other people. Whenever you owe money to people, you're in a precarious position, let's put it that way. If anything goes wrong, there could be some very serious repercussions. So we think that's best avoided if it's possible. It is also possible to eliminate the probate process on your estate if you're in our program, which is a wonderful thing to do for your heirs that you leave behind. And it's also possible to reduce or possibly eliminate entirely the inheritance tax on your estate, of the death tax, as some people refer to it as. Okay. Now, I think we've seen some reduction in the death tax or the inheritance tax under the new tax bill. We don't have all of the documents yet. There's a lot of pages. I think it's about 10,000 pages altogether. And we're gradually getting bits and pieces of information on some of the changes that have occurred. But you still could be paying inheritance tax to the state that you reside in, because it's not just the federal government that taxes you; it's the state government. So taxes come from all kinds of different sources. So it certainly is a tremendous advantage if you can either eliminate taxes or certainly reduce them legally. All right. Another factor is if you're going to be purchasing property or maybe in the rental business or going into any kind of a business, the company shields can protect you if it's done properly under the right circumstances. It can protect you from your business liabilities. And, of course, as we all know, every business does have liabilities associated with it. Okay. But let me go back to taxes just a moment here and touch on things. We've got a Nevada program we've had for 21 years. We also have a Wyoming program that's better than Nevada, and I'll tell you why right now. In Nevada, they have no corporate tax, no personal tax, no franchise tax, and no tax on corporate shares. That's very, very good, okay? They do have a commerce tax, which is approximately 1% with a $4 million a year exemption. So the commerce tax in Nevada will not affect a lot of people tax-wise, but it does require them to fill out a commerce tax return every year, which requires very sensitive information on one of the key people involved in the company. So the result is you give up most of your privacy, and we don't like that, okay? The Wyoming program has basically the same tax benefits: no corporate tax, no personal tax, no franchise tax, no tax on corporate shares, and no commerce tax. Also, the Wyoming program that we put together has a package, and of course, with any of our companies that we set up for you, you receive an education along with the company. We want to teach you how to use this company properly, and we will work with you over the long term, year after year, to assist you, give you the proper information and advice that you're going to need, answer your questions, etc. We also will refer you to a very expert and well-qualified CPA firm. Once the funds materialize, you've got to have the money to make this work. You can't reduce taxes without the money. But once the funds materialize, we'll be making that introduction so you can deal directly with the CPA firm. We don't do taxes. That's not our forte. But we felt it was very important to find a CPA firm who could help you. And they will give you tax advice during the year, answer your tax questions, show you how to maximize your tax savings legally and within the law, and file the company tax return for you every year at the end of the tax year. And they do that for a very reasonable fee. And believe me, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, it is money very well spent. Okay? So, the Wyoming program is a little less expensive than Nevada. So if you choose Wyoming over Nevada, you can save approximately $525 a year every year because the annual fees in Wyoming are less. And I'll touch briefly on prices here. Our complete program, to get into the program, there is a one-time fee that we normally collect up front in the beginning, and it's $3,700 for the Wyoming program. The Nevada program is $525 more, because of the difference in the annual fees. They're $525 higher in the state of Nevada. So it's $4,225 in Nevada versus $3,700 in Wyoming. And the Wyoming program not only has no commerce tax and does not require a commerce tax return to be filed, it also comes with a nice little package which includes a mailing address in Wyoming for your company and scanned mail forwarding services. And the annual fees are pretty reasonable, only $350 a year. I'll say that again, $350 per year for the Wyoming annual fees. The Nevada fees are $875 a year, which is $525 more. Okay, but you could take your choice. If you like Nevada, we're here to serve you and give you what you would like to have. Okay, we do feel, and it is our professional opinion, that the Wyoming program is the best in the nation, and it's better than Nevada. It's better than Delaware. Delaware has a good program as well, but it's geared toward the Fortune 500 companies, which we are not. Okay, so that, I think, is enough said about taxes. We encourage you to talk with us more about that to get more detail. Okay, but please remember, if you're out there shopping around and looking at prices, you can find someone to set up a company for you in Wyoming or Nevada for less money. I can tell you that right now, ladies and gentlemen. There are no secrets here. However, more important than just getting the company set up is knowing how to use it properly. I mean, if you've got a brand new Mercedes in your garage and you don't have a driver's license and you don't know how to drive it, you're not going to get much enjoyment out of that automobile. So the same is true with the educational program that we offer along with all of our companies that we set up for our clients. It's very, very important to learn how to use it. We are planning a major training event in Las Vegas right after the New York payout is completed. We want all of our clients to be at this event. We will probably do it 2 times, once during the week and again on a weekend, as long as we can get enough attendance. And I think we will, because there are many, many people who've already expressed a desire to attend that meeting. Okay? And we want to get you thoroughly trained as soon as possible after the New York payout is complete. We need about 2 weeks to get the room reserved. So once we know the once we know the payout date in New York is going to be completed by a certain date, we can schedule that event and let everyone know what the schedule is, and we're going to ask all of our people to come back and make a firm commitment to attend. Okay? But that will be the kickoff for our training program when everyone has the funds to work with, and we'll invite a number of the top banks to be there. We'll invite the CPA firm, and there will be some other programs presented on the tail end of this event. It'll be about a day and a half or a 2-day affair. Okay, so one more program I'd like to touch on briefly, and we'll wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I haven't been too long here. We do have an offshore program. It's called an IBC program. That stands for International Business Company. And if you choose to join that program, if you're already a client of ours, say in our Wyoming program, you get a discount on the price. I'm not going to go into prices again on the call for this particular program, but we'll be glad to discuss that with you when you contact us. But we can set up an international business company for you in the Caribbean with a bank account and a debit card. Some people feel good about having that sort of thing in place to use maybe as Plan B if Plan A falls apart, or another reason might be to move money out of the United States of America, get it out of the country and out of the reach of the government, which is another factor to consider. We've seen some things happen in some countries not long ago. Cyprus is one where the government went in and took money out of bank accounts because they needed the money. I don't think that was a very nice thing to do, but it was done, okay? And once it happens, there's not much you can do about it. Again, having a company might avoid that. I find it kind of hard to think that the government would take money out of company accounts. I think they would go after personal accounts, at least in the beginning, and then once it happened, everyone would be aware of it and they could make some changes. But anyway, that's another reason. Also, a third reason is once you have the IBC in place with the bank account, you can deal in international currencies, which might protect you from the falling value of the U.S. dollar. Okay? So those are some reasons for the IBC program. Now I'd like to give everyone a little note of caution here quickly, and we'll wrap things up and turn the call back over to Wayne. We're getting busier by the day. And as we get closer and closer to the fourth quarter and that first payout of $17,500 that we're all looking forward to, we're getting busier and busier and busier. I cannot overemphasize that fact. And we're pretty fast under normal circumstances, 3 to 5 business days normally. Right now we're at 5 business days, and I can see that increasing as we continue to move forward here, okay? When the first payout of $17,500 occurs, we're going to be inundated with the biggest avalanche of business we've ever dreamed of, and we're very grateful to be in this position and very thankful. We thank the Lord every day, okay? But it's going to cause some delays, and so we want everyone to be aware of that. And if you don't happen to have any way of putting together the $3,700 or the $4,225 for Nevada, if you really prefer that and you're willing to give up that $525 savings every year, that is certainly your decision. But if you don't have the funds, we understand, okay? And for the first time in our history, working with Wayne's group under EMS, we put together a payment program. It involves a fairly substantial down payment and monthly payments of $100 a month. So if you can't put together the $3,700, call us. We'll try and work with you within reason to get you into the program now so you can avoid the mad rush that we all know is coming. Okay? It's better to be prepared ahead of time and have everything ready than wait until it's upon us and everyone's scrambling. And we don't know how many companies we're going to have to do when these payouts begin. The New York payout will be even heavier. The avalanche from that event taking place in New York and everyone receiving their funds. So I just want you to be aware of that, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to give our contact information out right now. Excuse me. Again, my name is James Baggs, B-A-G-G-S, James Baggs. The email address, it's very simple. If you're familiar with the word Las Vegas, that's 2 words actually. Take the latter part of it, Vegas, V-E-G-A-S, and Corpse, C-O-R-P-S, which is the abbreviation for corporations, plural. There's an S on the end. It's Vegas Corpse, one word, Vegas Corpse at yahoo.com. Vegas Corpse at yahoo.com. Wayne, of course, has our contact information if you lose it or something. Our phone number, area code 949-273-6577. Once again, our telephone number, 949-273-6577. Okay? Don't hesitate to call us if you've got a question or a concern or you want to discuss how you can get into the program. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. If you've got a burning question you want to get an answer to, you don't have to be in the program to get a simple question answered. We're here to serve you and give you as much service as possible and educate you as much as we possibly can. Okay? So with that said, I think we can wrap things up, and I'd like to thank you all very much for lending us your ears for a few minutes. I hope I didn't keep you too long, and I apologize to Wayne if I did. And I want to thank Wayne again and his sister. They're just wonderful people, and we certainly appreciate this opportunity. And we look forward to working with all of you very closely to see that you get all the benefits that are available to you. And then plus there's some other programs we've got that we could discuss at a later date. And again, the phone number, area code 949-273-6577. We work 6 days a week. We try to take off on Sunday. I go to church every Sunday. But we're not punching the clock just from 9 to 5, okay? So if you want to call us at 5:30, and by the way, we are on Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast, okay? We move back and forth between Las Vegas and Southern California. Right now, we're in Southern California because it's a little bit cooler than Las Vegas this time of year, okay? So thank you so much. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Joan. Take care, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And we certainly appreciate this opportunity to relay some of this valuable information to you. And I want to just say, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, James, again, for, one, being a part of our team and providing this continuing education that will be absolutely necessary to every member on our team, as well as in the EMS Imperial programs. Again, we just thank you for coming on this evening. We'll try to get you on one more time before the EMS program closes, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Wayne. Take care now. God bless you.
Okay, great. Thank you. God bless. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. More information, more education on what to do, on how to do to protect what you have coming to you. It is good to plan ahead in preparation for what you know will be coming to you. And this is part of the preparatory process, is getting a structure where you can secure your funds and everything you own, pretty much. And also, for those of you who choose to